6 months ago, eating anything but chips and chocolate felt impossible. I knew all the research on ADHD and food, but it all meant shit when I'd open the fridge 10 times a day with a blank stare and then rot in my bed with a bag of chips feeling guilty. Finally, during a classic breakdown, I had a crazy, simple realization. My whole life, I've been eating like a neurotypical. Once I stopped, food became easier for the most part. And if you want that too, well, welcome to my new series, Eat to Focus, where I teach you how to buck society and eat for yourself while cooking some food. This is episode 1, the task problem. My husband told me that when he eats lunch, it's just one task. For me, it's 5. Choosing, planning, prepping, cooking, and eating. This is what I call the task problem. My brain thinks food is 5 times more effort than reality, which means if I do each task every day 3 times a day, I'm going to burn out. Solution? Do only 2 to 3 tasks, not 5. And remember, eating is one task already. If that feels bad or defeating, I get it. I also invite you to throw down some middle fingers at how society's gaslit you all these years into thinking that eating takeout and processed foods means you're a failure of a human being, when instead it's society's fault for making us think that doing 5 times the effort is normal. Yeah, you deserve relief. So if you're like me and want to have energy to eat for health, start with step 1. Only do 2 to 3 food tasks a day. Seems backwards, but it's the best way to start eating for your brain. Now, save and follow so you don't miss the next one. This one made-up word saved my grapes from rotting. Let me change your life. This is Eat to Focus, episode 2, the microbarrier problem. If you have ADHD, you've definitely thought something along these lines. And then feel dumb. But here's the trick. Inside of that thought is the reason you're not lazy, and I call them microbarriers. Tiny things that feel stupid, but they stop us anyway. And since they stop us anyway, we need to work around them instead of beating ourselves up about them. For example, grapes. My microbarrier is that they're still on the vine, and that tiny step made me avoid them until they go bad in the fridge. Now, I just take them off and put them in a container. Microbarriers don't mean you're lazy, they just mean that your brain works differently. So next time you think that's too much work, ask yourself, what's the microbarrier? That's how you get more tasks done without burning out. Now, if you made it this far, good job, I'm proud of you, and if you're following, I'll see you in the next episode. Just how I caught a grape in my mouth. That was the first take too. If you're ADHD and obsessed with food and not in the good way, this is the one thing that helped me. This is Eat to Focus, episode 3. For me, food rules sounded like I can't eat unless my plate is perfect. Protein, fiber, all the right ratios. And since I know so much about what's best for ADHD, the rules in my head just kept piling up. But here's the problem. The more food rules I had, the harder it got to eat. I'd spend all of my energy thinking about what I should eat, make that, and then I couldn't eat it. Then later that night, I'd eat a whole bag of chips, feel gross and guilty, and the cycle continued. That's what food rules do. They trick you into thinking that you can't eat unless it's perfect. The real solution, working with a dietitian or therapist. But here's one thing that helped me. Noticing when the rule popped up and then doing the opposite action. Next time you find yourself about to cry because you can't get 30 grams of protein in the morning, remember it's better for your body to just eat something than stress about the food. Now drop a comment about what food rule came up for you while watching and follow for the next episode. Hey, you know that feeling when you want to eat but can't because moving the food to your mouth is just so boring? Literally every time you say that phrase, the answer is no. I don't know that feeling. And that was the moment I learned I definitely have ADHD. Because to me, food isn't a basic need. Fun is the basic need. And if food isn't fun, it's not gonna get eaten. This is Eat to Focus, Day 4. Make food exciting. Here's the thing. My brain doesn't care that food keeps me alive, and I'm gonna bet that yours doesn't either. It only cares if it's interesting. A lot of the time, I think I'm not hungry when there's food in front of me, but really, I'm just bored. And that's why eating distracted is actually fine. Watch a video, call someone, scroll, whatever gets the food into your mouth. You still ate, that's the goal. Like, who cares if someone online said your digestion won't work as well that way? It wouldn't be working at all if you didn't eat in the first place. Some people with ADHD even use the devil's lettuce to make food interesting. I'm not saying I recommend it, but I get it. It's the same idea. Your brain wants food to be novel, not necessary. That dopamine flood just makes the food feel more exciting again. If you've been eating the same foods, maybe that's part of it too. Your brain's just bored. Switch up the flavors, try new textures, add spices. I use so many spices, my husband kind of hates my cooking, but to me, it's perfect because it's interesting. Now, just because you can force yourself to eat like a neurotypical person doesn't mean you have to. Next time you sit down to eat and feel zero motivation, ask yourself, are your hunger cues the problem, or is your brain just bored? And if it's bored, how can you make eating a little more interesting today? Now save and follow so you don't miss the next one. 6 months ago, I learned the ADHD food ick isn't actually real. It's something totally different, and this mind shift helped me stop getting it. This is Eat to Focus, Day 5. If you've ever suddenly lost the ability to eat halfway through a meal, you get it. We ADHDers call it the food ick. But here's the truth, it's not about the food. It's about trying to eat from a different energy level than you're actually in. Think about it. When does it usually hit? When you're overworked, stressed, overwhelmed. All that noise makes your brain extra sensitive to food, to texture, to demand avoidance, and if you are also autistic, this is just a huge recipe for disaster, honestly. When the food ick happens, it's my cue I've dropped down to level 1 of ADHD eating. And that means my body needs level 1 food. Finger food, drinkable calories, and foods I loved as a kid. Doesn't matter if it's healthy or not. It feels backwards, but if you try to push through, you're just adding to the overwhelm. And then you'll have even less energy to fix what caused it in the first place. So when you notice the food ick, ask yourself, what food can I eat from my level 1 list? And is there anything overwhelming me? Now save and follow so you don't miss the next one. Okay, so I think I figured out why I couldn't stop eating sometimes, but also sometimes I just stop eating altogether. If you're ADHD and have this too, keep watching. Also don't follow your heart. This is Eat to Focus, Day 6, Safety and Demand Avoidance. Let's backtrack. For ADHD brains, unsafe doesn't always mean danger. It can mean pressure, rules, expectations. Maybe you grew up in the clean plate club. Maybe food was unpredictable. Maybe you had an almond parent. So what if these eating struggles aren't shame, but they're your body trying to keep you safe? When you overeat, your body's saying, this is keeping me safe, don't let it go. And when all of a sudden you can't finish, it's saying, stop, I'm unsafe. Do you see that shift? It's protection, not failure. Here's what helps. Move somewhere your body does feel safe. I eat on the couch or my bed a lot. And then exhale through your mouth and then tell your brain one of these 2 options. Finally, give yourself a choice after you tell your brain that. Ask yourself, do I actually want to keep eating? And do I actually want to stop eating? And then own that choice. I do this all the time. Sometimes I even ask my husband to remind me that I don't have to finish my plate. Because the safety mismatch isn't fixed by more control, it's fixed by compassion. So if you're like me and stuck in that cycle of overeating and somehow undereating at the same time, this is your permission to stop fighting yourself. Instead, just ask, what about this doesn't feel safe? And that's where the real change happens. Now, if cooking with ADHD is more of your issue, we're gonna start going through those 4 micro barriers in the next episode. So save and follow if you're not already. You know when you look in your fridge or pantry and just don't eat anything because it's too much work? If you're ADHD, you might think it's just because you don't have the motivation, but it's not. It's because you don't have the inspiration. This is Eat to Focus, Day 7. Here's the truth, when you're staring at your fridge feeling that feeling, your dopamine-driven brain made cooking a chore instead of something fun. And remember, fun is apparently more important than existing for us. So the trick here is to get inspired. Some of my favorite ways are scrolling Pinterest and Instagram for ideas, but this can suck me through, so I also use cookbooks with pictures. Seeing the food actually makes me want to cook it. The way I like to use more, though, is tricking my second brain, and how I do this is I just tell myself, I like to cook. Cooking is my favorite hobby. I just love it so much. And here's the thing. I do actually like cooking, but my ADHD brain forgets what it likes. And so I just have to remind it, and then that honestly usually works. So next time cooking feels impossible, just don't fight it, get inspired. Scroll, look, get your brain excited, because it is. It just forgot. Now if you try this and it doesn't work, it's probably the wrong micro barrier, so save and follow so you don't miss that next one. Okay, so a lot of the time when I need to make dinner, I feel really overwhelmed and I don't have the spoons to do anything. If you want to stop that cycle, here's the 3 things I do to fix it. This is Eat to Focus, Day 8. There's 1 preventative solution and 2 immediate solutions. The preventative solution is actually eating consistently throughout the day, and the 2 immediate solutions are using simple carbs or sugars, or reverting to pre-made meals and takeout. Let's go through that quick. The root of low energy is usually a mismatch between energy output and energy input, aka what we eat. I notice I get this feeling a lot more when I don't eat every 3 to 4 hours. So to prevent the energy drain, I have eating windows where I have to at least eat something. But it doesn't always work, right? So when the energy drain happens, I give myself two options. Number one, stimulate with sugar, and then number two, order takeout. I usually go for the first option because, to be honest, takeout is expensive. After about 5 to 10 minutes, my brain and body are energized enough to make something. There's 2 more routes to why cooking with ADHD is hard, so save and follow for those next episodes. If you avoid the kitchen because you don't know enough about cooking, I made something that's going to solve your problem. Check the description for how to get it while I make some food and chat about why things like this are so important for ADHD. This is Eat to Focus Day 9. Back at the beginning of my relationship, Andrew and I would mainly eat frozen chicken tenders and french fries. We'd buy veggies and meat, but wouldn't cook them because the lack of knowledge felt overwhelming, not because we didn't have the energy. Once I figured out the real issue, we were able to get over it and start cooking for our brains instead of for just existing. One big thing that helped was writing down average cook times and oven temperature so that I didn't have to look it up every single time. That is exactly the sheet I'm giving you, born out of my last 5 years of experimentation. It gets rid of that cognitive overload in the brain that then turns us off from cooking. Now I just look at the sheet and pair items that take similar times and temps. One great example is salmon and asparagus. Now I hope this helps you as much as it helps me, but if it's not your micro barrier, there's one more that we're going to go over in the next episode, so save and follow if you're not already. Can I be real with you for a second? Cooking is boring, but that's also the reason why I don't struggle with it anymore. Oh, by the way, this is Eat to Focus Day 10. This is the last ADHD cooking micro barrier. Cooking is too boring. If getting inspired doesn't work, I usually know it's this issue. So my solutions are like the eating solutions. Get distracted. I often find that if I just call one of my sisters, I will naturally start to cook, and it doesn't feel like work at all. But if I don't FaceTime them, cooking feels like this huge mountain of a chore. I also will just watch some YouTube or show while I cook. I have specific channels that I only watch while cooking or eating just to give me more of that, Pavlov response, I guess. Tricking the brain is really my key to living my life, which apparently isn't something that neurotypical people say, according to my husband. So if you say that, maybe you have ADHD. Anyway, I hope these ADHD cooking tips have been helpful. Now we're going into the next part of the series, which is food prep. So if you have ADHD, struggle with that, make sure you follow and save so you get those next episodes. Do this, not that, ADHD food prep edition. Do ingredient prep, don't meal prep. What I mean is use this formula, which is 2 proteins, 2 veggies, 2 fruits, and keep them in separate containers in your fridge or pantry. To prove my point, here's 3 dishes that only take 5 minutes to make because ADHD needs low-effort meals that aren't repetitive or mushy. Number 1, a quick soup. Put your beans, peppers, and spinach in a bowl, add chicken broth and a bouillon cube. For more flavor, add soy sauce and chili crisp, then microwave it for like 180 seconds. Next, oil, beans, peppers, spices, spinach. Cook. Tortilla, 5-minute fajita. Last, beans, oil, salt, blend, snack on your 1-minute hummus with the peppers you chopped up already. This is the secret to eating healthy if you have ADHD. Well, and having money, but that's less realistic. Anyway, this was Eat to Focus Day 11, and follow for the next episodes. Hear me out, if you have ADHD, leave your shoes on after you grocery shop. It tricks our brain into thinking that we're still doing the grocery task, and then food prep takes less energy. Now, if you really don't have the energy after grocery shopping, totally normal, food prep can be a different day. If you do, start with an ingredient that's fun, fast, or satisfying. It makes starting take way less energy, which is half the battle. I think this series might need to be renamed to How I Trick My ADHD Brain into Eating Well. Anyway, let me know your tricks for starting the food prep and follow for the next episode. The reason you can't eat healthy is because you don't believe your ADHD is a disability. Listen to that again, sit with it for a second if you need. Acceptance of your disability gives you the freedom to accommodate yourself and reduce your symptoms. And what are accommodations? Pre-cut food, frozen meals with nutrients, canned food. These are foods I used to never let myself buy. They're more expensive than cooking from scratch, and I was afraid of all the preservatives or chemicals. So many of us are perfectionists and optimizers. But here's the secret, your body honestly doesn't care if your beans are from a can or dry. Your brain will have more energy to cook if you don't have to cut the veggies beforehand. If you have ADHD, you're working with limited energy. Something is going to have to give, and if you don't accept that, I can almost guarantee that the thing that's going to give is your sanity. This is why we burn out so quickly. So for the final prepping microbarrier, address your internalized ableism. You're allowed to buy pre-prepped items to accommodate your ADHD. Now, save and follow for the next episode in the series. Here's how I grocery shop just once a week at one store. Save this because I'm going to teach you the ADHD way to make a realistic grocery list. This is Eat to Focus, day 15. I start with choosing 2 dinners, 2 effortful meals, 2 easy meals, and 3 no-effort meals. Now I put those ingredients down in the dinner section. For lunch, my husband eats the same thing every day, and I usually eat leftovers or one of my 90-second pantry lunches. Then you do the same thing for breakfasts. After this, choose the veggies you want for the week. I'm thinking broccoli will go good with the chicken and fish, then peppers for the fajitas. For fruit this week, I usually go with what's in season since it's cheaper, so that means apples and grapes. Next, add any staples you usually get from the frozen section, same with your fridge, pantry, and if you get any drinks. Also, don't forget snacks or food that's going to bring you joy. The biggest trick is to save these every week, then you'll have food ideas for future you. This grocery guide is part of my ADHD nutrition manual, so if you have that, I definitely recommend printing multiple copies to help the future you. Now see you in the next part of the ADHD eating series if you're following. Let me give you a sneak peek of our ADHD cookbook. There's 2 big reasons I love it besides how each recipe is formulated to reduce your symptoms. The first is how each recipe is color-coded by energy level so there's no second guessing, and the other is how we have the simple instructions bolded to reduce overwhelm. And the other instructions are detailed in case you're the kind who needs it. Comment cookbook to get your physical or ebook copy.